And shares of Walmart are trading higher pre-market by about 2% after beating on first quarter earnings. The stock getting a bump as the company lifted its full year guidance. And the nation's biggest retailer seeing strong revenue growth, up 7.6% on an annual basis. Comp sales growing at a similar annual pace, up 7.4% in the United States. And the global e-commerce business growing double digits, up by 26%. Walmart with a profit beat as well. Adjusted earnings per share coming in at $1.47 compared to $1.31 estimated. So as we look at these numbers, it's kind of like, it's interesting. It's a very different story from Target. But if you've been listening, Brad, to the folks we've been talking to over the past few days, it's not necessarily a surprise because the idea that Walmart has a much larger share in groceries, is seeing more of a trade down effect in that area in particular. That seems to have helped it.
Yeah, it's all about where Walmart's, to your point, on the grocery side of the business is already getting so many customers in stores or has that regular or cyclical week in, week out type of engagement with them, but also into some of the discretionary categories where consumers might not necessarily be trading down fully as what other retailers might be saying, but where they might be more selective about the price that they are taking on. And I think for Walmart and how they've been able to drum up specific partnerships in those discretionary categories, namely clothes, apparel categories, particularly here, being looked at as a potential hedge against some of the higher spending that consumers may do elsewhere. I think that's exactly where Walmart is able to lean into that. And then additionally here, it's interesting to see the divergence between the e-commerce threads that Walmart is drawing versus a company like Target. We saw e-commerce weaker, digital sales weaker over at Target, but Walmart, they did see growth of about 23% as I'm trying to pull up my notes here. 26%,
globally,
yes, global.
Yeah, so a couple other things to mention here. International sales were also strong. That's an area that analysts were watching, up 12.9% to $26.8 billion. China sales rose by 28%. And then looking at Sam's Club, which obviously is another important part of the operation, comparable sales there up 4.5%. If you back out fuel, that rise goes to 7.4%, since we know gasoline was a bit of a dampening on retail sales overall. E-commerce within Sam's Club specifically, up 19%. So the various areas of the business performing well. And I'm also looking at some of the early headlines from the conference call that's been going on for about an hour. I actually don't know if it's still going on, but these were some of the headlines. Doug McMillon, the CEO, saying that the company is gaining market share in groceries, which is something that we have been seeing. It's not necessarily a huge surprise. He also said that the company is making gains with wealthier and younger shoppers, which is interesting. Those folks are migrating, right? Yeah. They want to save money maybe on the grocery side, so they're going there, which is quite interesting. At the same time, the CFO, John David Rainey, saying that there are signs below the surface of stress within the consumer. So interesting here. And the company did say that the sales momentum moderated as the quarter went on. It is raising that full year forecast, but that's an interesting thing to pay attention to as well.
Absolutely. We're going to have much more on this discussion. We're going to hear more about those results later on this hour when we speak with Walmart's CFO, John David Rainey. Do not miss that discussion.